Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, depending on where you are at the moment. Now, today we are going to talk about how we can simplify certificate management. So when we talk about certificate management, there are wide range of deployments, wide range of deployment options, or use cases and all that. Today, we're going to focus on DevOps and how the CI/CD pipelines, the whole idea of CI/CD pipelines and DevOps is how can you get quicker time to value for your customers deploying your application rather after development. How can you take it quickly to your customers? Now, in that agile world, right, how can we improve security? How can we enhance that agility for those users? So that is what we're going to look at. And if you have any questions, please do type in, so that we can take it up at the end. And we'll have a quick demo, a short demo while we go through the presentation as well. You can always reach out to us for more information and all that. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the modern development approach. Right? This is picking upstream. We'll touch upon how it is different from previous and what all has changed. Most of you will be aware of it. We'll also talk about the DevOps and PKI and how that is changing the whole PKI environment. And then we'll also touch upon what is not working in the existing PKI deployments, the existing PKI with the new needs that we see coming in. And then we will also look at making both PKI and DevOps work together to help speed up at the same time secure the whole environment. Right, and we'll look at the AppViewX platform and how it works for the DevOps. We'll also touch upon how AppViewX has sort of adopted DevOps and CI/CD within our deployments also. And then we'll spend some time for Q&A at the end. Right. Okay, so. So the legacy software development, I mean, you can't call it legacy yet, but because a lot of folks are still in that practice, they're still using this. But primarily a waterfall-based model where the requirements are bucketed across, and then there is a 6-month or whatever development process, and it's more of a monolithic code. There is still quite a bit of development is still in a monolithic code base, and then the upgrades are like it's a long process, like 6 months to a year or longer. Right now, if you look at it, even like 2 months it's a longer timeline in this when we compare to the new model. Now, fast forward to where we are, I think in this past decade there has been quite a bit of adoption where we have moved to a more microservices-based, scalable, reusable code where it is segregated, and we have moved to a more agile software development process, and the DevOps and CI/CD, where some jargons before has become mainstream, and we see that happening in pretty much across every enterprise and every business across the world. Right, and when we look at DevOps, right, what are we trying to do with DevOps? Right? It's how can we take it to market quickly? It's all the work that we are doing, all the development work, all the product development that we are doing, all the software development that we are doing. How can we take it to market quickly and in a safe, secure, automated, and faster time to delivery? Right? That's what we are looking at. And while we are doing that, there are a couple of concerns, especially from the the security teams or security side of things, because usually the network and security side has been the bottleneck or sort of the speed bumps, so to say, for the business, or the application or software development deploying the code, right? So there is always, in some cases, there are ways they've worked around it. In some cases, it is still a challenge as to how can you enable the dev team to accelerate and deploy to prod. Even though they have validated, tested, and all that, you should still have a more agile platform, more agile network services and security services to enable that. So that's what we're going to touch upon a little bit in this. So when we look at DevOps from the code to production, right? There is a build phase. There is a continuous integration phase and a continuous delivery phase. This works really well in a SaaS-based architecture. It's a software as a service, especially if it is a vendor deployed or externally deployed code. Then it's a little bit tricky doing this whole process. But majority of the deployments is fully controlled end-to-end in the customer environment. So that sort of makes it a little easier to integrate this. So when we look at in the build phase, there's a lot of automation tool chains that have come in. And from a release phase, there is a code signing and a whole bunch of other aspects that are involved there. And in production, in the deployment phase, there is quite a few changes with the containers and service mesh and the automation, and there could be virtual machines or containerized deployment and all that. So not one customer will have all of these, right? Meaning all the latest tool chains deployed, latest technologies deployed, fully containerized and fully automated. They might still be running on VMs, in other words, but then they might have adapted, Jenkins and the whole other tool chains per se. So we'll have to look at how we can cater to the varied deployment models, right? Whether they use service mesh or not, and all that in containers. Now, if you look at the different tool sets that we touched upon, so if you're looking at containers, whether they use OpenShift, Kubernetes, Docker, or the EKS, or whether it's a cloud-based container or private cloud deployment, internal deployments, and all that. And from a pipeline perspective, whether they use Jenkins, Git for source control, Git, Bitbucket, or whatnot, or Terraform for automation, setting up infrastructure, and Ansible to automate that. Or from a cloud environments, depending on what cloud providers they use. And from a service mesh, whether they use Istio or Console or whatnot, Federate, more like if they're looking at an open source or a commercial available solution, or they're looking for a vault to secure their secrets, or they're using HSM or a key management system to encrypt. Are they looking at a more MTLS-based end-to-end encryption with client cert and whatnot? So all of these have to be taken into account, in devising a plan to automate certificates, automate the PKI. Now, if you look at the current management methods of PKI or current PKI deployment, right? And let's look at what doesn't work, right? Or rather, what are the challenges today? We see that there is an explosion of the number of certificates needed, right? Hundreds of thousands of certificates that gets deployed. There was the new generation company, which was born in the last decade, right? So the ride-hailing type of company. We went and discovered there were 600,000 certificates, right? And this was just in one unit, and they never thought they had that many, right? So like that, right? There is an explosion without being aware of the fact that there are so many certificates deployed in different areas and all that. Like that, there is also thousands of endpoints which require certificates now, especially during the COVID times. Everybody is sitting at home, connecting at home, VPNing from home and all that. There is a client certificates, and those client certificates expire. We'll have to figure out how to renew them. They need client certificate to connect the VPN and hit the VPN to securely transmit the certificate requests and whatnot. It's an interesting problem there. We solved it a different way for a couple of our customers and deployed it at scale during the COVID scenario. And then there is new technology advancements. Let's look at IoT, for example. We've seen an explosion of IoT devices, right? We see that everything is getting connected to the network. And when everything gets connected, right, then all of those needs to be secured. Whether it is going to be like a field area network which has an island, and then that needs to be connected to the head end, or these devices talk to each other and still needs to communicate securely. Whether it's medical IoT devices where there is a secure data transfer, personally identifiable data, and all that. Or it could be for financial transaction. So a whole bunch of things needs to be encrypted, and PKI sort of becomes the backbone for that. And then again, DevOps with containers, right? Every container that gets spun up, it's a short-lived certificate. It might not, traditionally certificates used to be valid for like 2 years and 5 years and all that. We used to see a standard 5-year deployment for these management systems and all that, which you're not going to touch. But that's not the case anymore, right? It's reduced to 1 year, and then with containers, it's gone down even further, right? It could be minutes or hours that it's valid for. So that means the number of certificates are increasing there as well. Where a technical, where an average application was handling, let's say, 50 or 100 certificates or keys, now it is that typical application with the microservices approach could grow to even hundreds of thousands or even multiples of thousands as well, right? And then there is mobile devices. Again, mobile devices and with apps and all that. Every app needs to be secured for securing the client, identifying the client and all that. So that's also, there is a huge increase in the number of certificates. And then there is also new tools. If you look at the CNCF, right, there is a whole bunch of tools which was all born in the last decade or so, right? So all of them require some sort of integration, some sort of way of, requesting the certificate and automating that and securing those, right? And then again, we spoke about short-lived certificate. We spoke about then there is this regulation, right? Meaning the PCI, which requires end-to-end encryption of data all the way to where the data is stored, and encrypting the data at rest requires keys also. And also the change in standards, TLS 1.2, getting deprecated and all that. So that also is changing. The protocols is changing. A whole bunch of things there. And with DevOps specifically, right? It's developers tend to use self-signed certificate just to work around the challenges of getting a certificate or integrating and all, simplifying the deployment and all that. Or compliance, enforcing compliance in a more agile environment, right? You have to give them a way where they can be faster, but at the same time be compliant as well. We cannot put road blockers or speed bumps to slow them down. Right? How can we do that? These are all the new challenges that keep coming in the PKI. Right? And then the manual process doesn't work anymore in the DevOps environment, especially with that speed and that scale and all that. And then there is no lack of automated sync with the DevOps tools if you are using a legacy PKI, and then lack of visibility into all of these different certificates. When you're using a legacy PKI, one, scaling up to all of these requirements, and then doing that with a high assurance is a challenge, right? And now, how can we make PKI and the DevOps work together? Now, what at AppViewX, what we do is we enable the certificate management and automation, leveraging your existing PKI, or if you want to deploy a new high assurance PKI, irrespective of how you want to address the PKI side of things, we help you address the automation side of things to enable you to be agile, enable you to be secure, and all those good things. Right? Now, what we offer is we offer a full visibility into all of your certificates, right, and full control of the certificate, irrespective of whether they are automatically deployed and integrated to your DevOps toolchain or manually deployed with self-service capabilities and all that. So you can define centrally, you can define a policy, and you can automate the certificate and keep all the way through. Right? And the key aspect being a way to self-service, whether it is a DevOps customer or a client or an app owner, he can self-service his own tool chain automatically to integrate and all that. So he doesn't have to understand certificates, understand technology and whatnot. And pretty detailed auditing capabilities available as part of the product. Now, from a deployment perspective, how can we make that work from a for different types of deployment? It could be container-based deployment. It could be different platforms in the container, and then I need to figure out how to make it work for cloud as well, right? And from a it should also integrate with your enterprise PKI, all the different PKIs that you might use, and then support different security key rotation requirements, and more importantly, orchestration requirement. Now, AppViewX per se, we are a next generation platform which runs on containers itself. AppViewX runs on containers. So internally, we have built all these things. We've gone through this pain. We have faced all these challenges with our internal CI/CD and all that. So we are this next generation platform, which sort of has all these capabilities inbuilt in the product itself. And then we are able to, with that understanding and visibility and the usage, we are able to solve problems of other deployments on an enterprise scale also. Right? And then from an automation, DevOps lifecycle automation perspective, integrating with different tool sets, integrating with service mesh, integrating with Vault, whether it is a symmetric key or not, or an asymmetric key. Integrating and offering those capabilities out of the box is something that we need to make PKI and DevOps work. Now, this is a more of a representative figure of how AppViewX works. Again, this is a growing list. We have a constant challenge keeping it updated with the different logos that we add. So just to give a perception, in the last quarter, we added around 70 vendor versions with our plugin-based architecture. So that's where we also stand out, where our product is built in a microservices plugin-based. So any vendor that we need to add, it sort of makes it a lot more easier for us to add a plugin. You don't have to upgrade the whole system, but you're able to update the plugin and then enable support. So we have sort of a northbound integration where all the applications can talk to AppViewX. Right? There are different ways to do that, whether it could be using GUI or our REST API. And then we also give you out-of-the-box capability with Ansible, Puppet, Terraform, Jenkins, ServiceNow, OpenStack, or OpenShift, whatnot. There's a whole slew of things that are by default integrated, and there's a simple, easy sample that you can download. And then even if you don't, if you are managing PKI, if you're managing CLM, and if you're managing AppViewX and you don't know Terraform, right, you can pretty much click on a button, download the Terraform provided template, ship it to your DevOps team. They will open it up. They'll know how to consume it. They'll know how to access it, and they will call up, and they'll call AppViewX, right? And then you can go figure out how they've called it from which in a language that you understand, right? And then the whole thing would be automated. So I'll show you in a quick demo as to how that is done. And then the right side is where we talk to, right? There is a growing list of integrations. On the right side also, we talk to Ansible, we talk to Terraform, and a whole bunch of things as well, where, if you want to communicate to a device, we could use Ansible to communicate to the device. So different ways that you can, and sort of the whole idea is to build that capability where you're able to configure and make it work to orchestrate for your enterprise use case. Now, we package a whole bunch of out-of-the-box capabilities. Now, this is one of those out-of-the-box workflows. I'll show you in the demo as to how this is done. So this is where you can basically click on the REST API, click on the Terraform logo, and then you'll be able to download that particular package, right? If it's a Jenkins plugin or an OpenShift plugin, you can click on it and then use that sample template and deploy it and consume this workflow. And you can build your own. You can add Lego block in there. These are like multiple Lego blocks that we publish. You can take an existing flow which is already built and used and all that, or you can basically take that and add an additional approval in that if you want to add a manual bump or a manual approval process in that aspect. So let's quickly look at what is making us different, right, from others. We are a next generation architecture. That's a huge benefit, right? Especially when you're looking at setting up and scaling with IoTs and all that, right? You should be able to run from 0 to 100, right? And how easily can you do that? Right? That's where, running it on a container with an auto-scale capability, you can start off as small as you want and then scale it to millions and millions of certificates, right? It sort of makes it a lot more easier deployment per se, right? And we can run on your on-prem. We also give you a VM if you're not a containerized environment yet. We'll give you a VM, and underlying the VM, we will leverage containers, but then you are managing it as a VM, right? And then you can run on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and their containers. We would basically just be a cloud front. You just spin up, makes it a lot more easier, completely next generation. And then automation. So automate with our low-code engine. Now, when we say low-code, we should also add no-code in there, right? I mean, you don't have to code. All the integration, all the capabilities are already shared to you. But if you wish to change the process, if you wish to add some more, you can do that with our low-code capability. And then, we pretty much are bringing everything crypto into one place. So in essence, we are bringing a crypto orchestration and automation and remediation platform. You would have heard about SOAR, which is security orchestration automation. This is more of a crypto orchestration automation platform, which gives you all things crypto in one place and remediating it, right? And with our modular architecture, it can sort of be able to be deployed and easily upgraded, right? No other vendor will give you a capability to upgrade. It will become a nightmare for you to upgrade once you deploy. This makes it a lot more easier to upgrade and update the plugins and update the product itself. And the integrations, because of the capability that we have, because the platform enables us, we are able to accelerate on the integrations and add new integration, hundreds of integrations into different platforms, tested, validated, integrated, publish it, and all that. And from a scalability perspective, horizontally scalable, you're able to leverage the auto-scale capabilities and all that. The next generation, all these are the next generation capabilities for any application, right? We are just leveraging that, offering it to you as part of the product. Now, I can quickly jump to the solution demo. I'm not going to take too much time. I'll give you a snippet of how things are and how it works and all that. And let me see. Talk has an interesting way of sharing, so let me try to get there. All right, so it is sharing, so I hope you can see this. All right, so I'm going to walk you through. This is AppViewX. I just logged in. Let me go into the key focus area, which is our studio, right? That's where we have these out-of-the-box capabilities. There are a whole bunch of out-of-the-box approaches. I'll just touch upon. I'll pull up one, and then I'll show you how it's done or how it's consumed. So this is a simple flow that is available where it has a form and it does a few things, sends an email, notifies, and all that. And this one generates a certificate. So technically, this is a flow in itself, which is being packaged into a Lego block. So if I double click that, it will actually tell you what it is. Right? It basically gets the common name, generates a CSR, and basically figure out the certificate, and then goes and gets a certificate from different capabilities and all that, right? Even if it is from a different vendor and all that. So you can define how you want to consume that, how you want to integrate, and what you want to do. And once that is published, if that is the way that you generate certificate and you use that, right? There are different ways. You can basically drag, if it is DigiCert, you drag DigiCert and use it. If you go to an intermediary, you use that, right? Now, we sort of enable the automation across the board using this, right? So with this workflow, the way you can trigger this workflow is you can basically go to the API. This will give you how you can call this particular workflow, right? It has a post call, and this is what you need to pass on. Right? These are the parameters that you need to pass on, the common name and org ID. So you can fine tune this as well, right? You can define that what you want to pass on with. Similarly, let's say you want to trigger a Terraform-based approach. So you click on it, it basically downloads a sample package, and then you just open it up. I'm not sure if you're seeing this screen. Maybe not. Let me share that one. Oh, I have to stop sharing. Anyway, I'll come back. I'll show you once I finish showing it with the screen. So you pretty much can click on it, download the sample, and basically open up, and it will tell you how to consume this. Now, irrespective of how they are passing the data, right? You just have to like let's say this you shared it to the DevOps team. They have consumed it. They are triggering the request and all that. You can just go to the request and then say close request, or rather, you can look at all the requests. You just go into close request, and I would say certificate renew or new certificate request. You click on that. This will tell you what it did, right? So in this particular thing, this is the data that was passed to us, and this could have been passed using the UI, through the API, or through CLI, or through HashiCorp. The Terraform, or Ansible, or Jenkins, through the CI/CD pipeline. It could have been done through Kubernetes, Ingress, plugin. It could be done however different way, but from your PKI perspective, you come here, you see what their input was, right? And you see what the next steps was and whether it was successful and all that. And then it will show you what it did and all that. So it sort of enables you to easily troubleshoot irrespective of, how they requested it, right? And if there are multiple steps in it, whether it gets pushed or pulled and all that, so all that is available. It sort of tells you what, if it is from a cloud system, how it was called. All that capability is there, right? So now let me show you the sample Terraform provider that you get to download. Okay, let me just share my entire screen. That way you're able to see the different things. Okay. So here it is. So this is how you download. So you just this is the Terraform workflow package. It sort of tells you what data it needs to. It's basically a TF template. It's a Terraform template, right? It gives you a Terraform template, and then they just have to copy this Terraform template, and there is a README file also tells you how to use it. You just have to pass on this TF template to your Terraform team, and they'll be able to use it, right? And then once they consume that, you are able to see that request coming into AppViewX and then take it from there. It's a quick demo, so we will wait for any questions that you might have. I'll try to answer, and then if you have additional questions and all that, we can always reach out to info.appvx.com, or you can reach out to me directly at morley@appvx.com as well. Alan, do you have any questions? Are you tracking the Q&A window?
Yes, Morley, we have a question or two. Let me just, I think it's still coming through. Morley, can you see the questions? The first one is root trust config for different stages of the DevOps pipeline.
We do support trust anchor management for everything that you see, right, about certificate request. We also do that for root trust, right? And you can define which ones you want to manage. You can even have a restricted route for internal pipelines and whatnot. So all that is possible with that. Now I can see the certificate. I use Cert Manager Acme client. This is for support this. Absolutely. We have an Acme server. You can use a Cert Manager to call AppViewX, and we do support that. As you said, so we are looking at more. We are an automation vendor, right? We look at integrating with all the different providers. We're not too religious on that, right? And then we definitely support that. Who would own the certificates in PKI in my DevOps environment? Who would own the certificates in PKI? So, see, I mean, if you have a separate ownership, right, meaning if there is a PKI team, right, then the central PKI environment, you want to enforce that across the board, right, you can continue using your existing PKI, and the DevOps team will own the certificate. This whole approach is about federating those two. Now, if you don't want federation, if you want an island of trust, you could have the DevOps team own both the certificates and PKI as well. We have seen deployments where the DevOps team owns both. We have also seen cases where there is a central trust high assurance certificate authority where the DevOps team sort of consumes it, is federated and all that. So, or you could use the native capability like Citadel and all that with self-signed certificate. This is when you look at more high assurance capabilities where we offer that, right? Irrespective of how your deployment is, you can do the same, both with the same instance, right? You can also give them we are a multi-tenant capability, so you could give different tenancy to different users in your org also. How do I perform control and data plane object encryption? You're talking about, I assume you're talking about a symmetric key capability where you want to encrypt the data. So we have a capability to encrypt the secrets also, the Kubernetes secrets. We also offer a symmetric key engine as part of that as well. We can talk about that a lot more in detail. Is Vault used as a CA or RA? How is it configured? How does it work with your AppView software? Now, it depends on how you want to use it. So, in the plugin that we natively support, we have a plugin into the Vault, and then Vault in that case is an RA. And if you want to use a high assurance CA, you can do that. If you want your Vaults to be a CA, right, meaning or an issuer, right, that capability is also there. So we'll have to, again, depending on how you want to use it, how you want to manage it. So we support different ways. Does your product integrate with the Unicert product? Unicert, I am not sure. I'll have to look at it. I mean, if it is not supported, as I said, with the plugin-based architecture, we can integrate and offer that as needed as well. All right. Any other questions? Did I miss any? Alan, did I miss any of those?
I think we got all the questions, Murli. We're good to go.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, if you have any additional questions, reach out to me or reach out to any of us. Thank you. Thanks for your time. And I will meet up or catch up in the next one.